All right, guys. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you guys for joining us. My name is Henry Chrysler. I'm the executive director of the Mississippi Medical Marijuana Association, Mississippi's leading voice for the medical cannabis industry. And we are lucky to be joined here this afternoon by our friends over at AdaptiveHR, a leading human resources, benefits management, and compliance organization providing specialized services for the medical cannabis industry. This afternoon's webinar will cover the topic of human resources, benefits management, and scaling your business to attract and maintain high-quality, talented employees. As sort of a one-man army here myself at 3MA, I don't know a whole lot about human resources or benefits management, so I'm glad to be joined by Scott Newman, one of Adaptive HR's lead consultants, as well as Bob Thomas and Lori Bates, who will help cover ways to provide specialized benefits packages to members of a cannabis organization and can work with you guys to meet the needs of your business. So without further ado, I'm going to give it over to Scott and his team to cover the topic. So Scott, take it away.
Great. Well, thank you, Henry. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to get in front of your group today. We know it's certainly a hot day down there, and for people, you guys taking some time out of your day, we appreciate it. So I'm joined by my colleagues Tony. He said Lori, but it's actually Tony, and Bob. And so I think really what we just wanted to do today was just we've got a short slideshow, and then we're going to really open up for Q&A. So let me jump in and kind of just take you through it, and then we can get started. I'll share my screen. Okay, great. So, I mean, really what we want to do, and we recently started this connection with 3MA and with Henry, and hearing about what businesses are looking to do and what, the advocacy of what 3MA is. So Henry thought it would be a good idea for us to chat with you guys about some strategies from an HR and benefit perspective to help the cannabis operators grow. So what we want to do today is just going to give a quick introduction and an overview. We're going to talk about some of the challenges that we see out there in the industry. Tony's going to touch on some of the key HR foundations that can be really critical as you're continuing to build your business. Bob will touch on the benefit side of the things. And then we'll talk about a strategy called the PEO, Professional Employment Organization. What is it? And how can it potentially help your business? And then lastly, we'll just wrap up with some Q&A and open up to you guys for conversations and so forth. So I guess I'll get started. So again, my name is Scott, Scott Newman. I'm based in the Boston area. I've been a business consultant with AdaptiveHR and One Digital for close to 7 years, and working with cannabis operators, and I love working with folks and helping them grow their business. So, Bob.
Hi, my name is Bob Thomas. I'm out of our office in Dallas, where our PEO is headquartered, and been with the company about 15 years. Have really focused on our partnerships and partnering with groups like 3MA, and so we're real excited to be a part of this. Go ahead, Lori. Tony.
Thanks, Bob. Hey, I'm Tony Bates. I'm a senior HR VP at AdaptiveHR. Been with the organization for about 7 years as well. I have a wide range of clients, cannabis and non-cannabis clients. So yeah, I look forward to working with you guys and helping you out.
Terrific. So we'll kind of just give you just a little bit overview, but first a little bit about who we are as a business. So Bob, obviously having been with the senior person here at the company, if you want to just take a moment, just high level for the folks watching.
Yeah. So AdaptiveHR is a affiliate and subsidiary of a company called One Digital. One Digital has been in the insurance benefits HR business for a little over 26 years, started by 3 gentlemen that are still with the company today. It is unique in that they represent about 100,000 small businesses across the country. So it's, with each business, whether it's cannabis or selling widgets, everybody has similar issues, benefits, they have HR issues, and that's really how One Digital started. They're headquartered in Atlanta. They do about a little over $1 billion in revenue. And like it shows there on the screen, they're made up of a couple key components. Insurance, they sell employee benefits from the time you're hired until you retire. When you retire, they handle financial services, retirement plans, 401k, executive benefits, wealth management services. And then they have a tranche of people that focus on HR consulting and trying to stay compliant. A lot of small businesses struggle with, do I hire HR? Well, you can use One Digital for that. And then about 4 years ago, they said, look, about a million employees a year go to these things called PEOs like AdaptiveHR. And so let's get in that business. And a PEO really is the easy button that combines all of this in one solution. And so they got into the PEO business about 4 years and bought our company, and we've since bought several more. And what we do is, what AdaptiveHR does specifically for cannabis is, in one solution, you've got your life cycle of your employee, from onboarding to HR to paying them to benefits to risk management, workers' comp, and all of that in one solution. So collectively, they represent over 100,000 employees that utilize that PEO solution.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Sure.
And just so you understand, from a cannabis perspective, Adaptive has been servicing the cannabis industry since 2019. We work with clients all over the country, primarily small and mid-sized businesses, whether you're retail, whether you're a cultivator, you're a lab, ancillary company. And so Bob says, just, hey, companies want to do what they do best and not be, bad joke, stuck in the weeds, so to speak, of HR and payroll. So that's a little bit about us. But so we want to just kind of obviously kind of get into more of the areas, for you folks as operators. And so when the three of us talk to businesses around the country, and we're saying, hey, what's important to you as you're building out your business, as you're scaling it, we hear lots of answers, but we tend to hear some commonalities. And these are the ones that come up the most. And certainly let us know as we go and thinking about your business. But obviously, cost and profitability, clearly that's the top. Companies are additionally trying to grow their sales, but also have the right partners. But the big things that we keep hearing is, hey, who's on our team, or who are we trying to bring on our team to really help us continue to build this thing? And then how can we make the back office better? Firing on all cylinders, not just 3 of 8. So you as a company can really grow your business and build it. So those are things that where companies are looking to go to, their goals. But we also hear, hey, there's some things that are slowing them up along the way. And it typically tends to fall usually around 3 areas. It's money and tax, the people side, and then the ops and growth. Obviously, if you're in the space, you don't need to know much more about how much of a pain between taxes and thin margins and cash flow. And companies are trying to stay out of the, all the risks of, the IRS and OSHA and all those things that can be a pain. We also hear that, cannabis, it's a high turnover industry. It's not an easy to keep the good folks on, keep up to date, as Tony will kind of get into on the compliance side from an HR. And then almost every business owner that Bob and I and Tony talk to wants to be able to take care of their employees, but oftentimes feel real challenged with the costs and how much it actually is going to impact their budget. And then the last is obviously, there's many vendors, the ADPs and the Paychecks of the world, from a tech stack, they're not servicing the space. So that is a challenge we hear. And obviously, as companies are growing and across, whether it's new licenses or new locations. And then lastly, what almost everybody tells us is, you got 100 different hats that you're wearing. So these are the things that we tend to hear the most, from a challenge. So I'll let Tony talk a little bit about, now that we've kind of identified those, let's just see, here's some key things from a foundational perspective that could be impactful. Tony?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. So yeah, great foundations to start. Make sure that you have a solid HR foundation would be to have some good job descriptions. We want to make sure that those are thorough and that they, have physical demands included in those job descriptions. An onboarding program for your new hires. That way they get settled in. They make sure that they have all of their payroll information, direct deposit, their tax forms filled out. Employee handbook to make sure you have your policy solidified in the handbook, and that everyone acknowledges the handbook. That's your good base to hold your employees accountable for your policies that you have, and termination procedures. That way you're making sure that you're documenting, saving all of that information, making sure that the termination is solidified and that you have everything in place for that. And also the E-Verify and the workers' comp. You want to have those programs in place, especially if it's state-driven for E-Verify, and workers' comp, being able to have that in place in case you have any injuries there at your work location.
Terrific. Well, thanks for sharing. We've seen, unfortunately, a lot of operators who don't have those things in place, and nobody ever wants to be a cautionary tale, with those things. So those are some things around the HR side of the house. So now obviously we're going to focus a little bit on the benefit side. So Bob, obviously you've seen a lot of things over the years, but if you want to talk just for a few moments on a couple of things from the benefit areas that you want to highlight.
Yeah, so as a small business owner or a medium-sized business owner, really the struggle today is what am I going to provide for benefits? Who am I going to call? And how am I going to get the best deal? What studies really show is your employees are going to you for what are you going to pay me? But then what are the benefits? And for you to attract talent to your business, you need good benefits. You need to keep good benefits to keep them employed, but there's a cost. And so, everybody reads about health insurance and the huge rate increases. So how do you deal with that and manage that on top of that? And benefits is a key piece of the puzzle in attracting talent, retaining talent, and running an efficient business. Essentially, we're all competing, even our company, you're competing against Starbucks. Starbucks, those coffee makers can get student loans and health insurance and this and that. So you got to try to provide that. Well, in a PEO like AdaptiveHR, you can get health insurance. So we have master medical plans throughout the United States with your top carriers, United Healthcare, Kaiser. We also have programs that are kind of like medical insurance that just kind of help you get to a doctor visit, get to a well visit. Because we cover over 100,000 people, we're able to provide those benefits at a stable cost and at plans that you may not be able to get by just calling your health insurance agent. And if you think about it, you've got claims rise because you're paying out more than you're getting in. When you have hundreds of thousands of people, you're constantly getting premium, which is covering the cost of those claims. So we have health insurance, we have dental and vision, we have life insurance, accident, hospital. We also have mental health insurance in that next bucket. Mental health is a huge thing. And a lot of times they want to text rather than go to a doctor, or they want to use FaceTime or a FaceTime-like program. And so we provide mental health benefits that your employees can take advantage of. We provide hearing aid, glasses, all kinds of physical fitness and mental fitness tools to help your employees at costs that are very stable. And in some instances, your employees pay for them, so it doesn't cost you as an employer anything. And then over there in the last bucket, we have financial wellness and 401k tools. Everybody, and a lot of you that are starting small businesses and pulling money out of maybe an employer's 401k program, you need to start a 401k to qualify under those loan requirements. We can get that set up for you. But then also having those financial tools available to your employees to help them save money, to help them grow their wealth and start at an early age. So all of that you get with one contract with us.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And so what we tend to see, obviously, those are some of the areas, whether it's HR, whether it's benefits that we recommend, again, ultimately, whether it's with us or with another, or doing it on your own or with another provider, those are certainly some strong considerations. And what we see is when companies are trying to figure it out, it usually falls back to you as the operator. You have to find all these on your own. You have to, and the owners and operators have to take charge of all the relationships. It can be, 4, 5, 6 different vendors, which our business owners tell us takes a lot of time, time suck, but also, you may not know what you don't know, and there might be a gap for a liability. So as Bob had alluded to, is really what a PEO is, and where we have a solution, a strategy that has worked for multiple operators and maybe worth potential consideration, is it's bringing all of these areas under one umbrella: payroll, HR, benefits, and risk. Experts to support you, but just give you one single sign-on, not 5, and one platform really to tie it all together. So that's high level what it looks like. And then inevitably we get, Tony and Bob and I say, well, how does it work? What does that look like? And so it's really straightforward. First of all, it's a model. We didn't invent it. It's been around for about 30 plus years. It's been, a model that has been very successful with small, mid-sized clients. On one side, you have the client, the operator, and the other side, you have the PEO, or the professional employer organization. So your business is doing what you normally do. You find the team and hire and manage them. You're choosing the comp and the rates and your schedules, and you're running the day-to-day operations. Now, most of the operators that we tend to talk to say pay their team every 2 weeks. So the same thing, you go into your portal, approve a payroll, say on a Tuesday. Wednesday, we will go into your bank, move the money to the state of Mississippi and the IRS. But here's where a real big difference is we're doing this under Adaptive and One Digital's federal ID number. So we're taking the responsibility to make sure timely and accurately everything's being filed. Claims for unemployment or workers' comp never fall through the cracks. And you get expertise in HR from folks like Tony and her teammates to be able to, get those compliance, get those questions taken care of, get that risk mitigated. And from a benefit side, that's the biggest thing, is that, as Bob said, it's because we have thousands of employees under that umbrella, we now can level you up and make you look like a Fortune 500 company because of that scope and scale. And ultimately, through that relationship, the employees are shared. So instead of just being a vendor or a software, we share the employees. So we want to see you have a safe workplace. We want to see you have low turnover, because obviously if you grow, we do as well. So that's kind of the high level of the how it works. And then obviously we also get, well, so why should I use one? Who else does this? Well, you'd be in good company. 200,000 plus businesses and growing are using this across really every industry in the United States. But it's more the impacts that we've seen, and I'm sure Tony can tell you firsthand, is that, we're seeing more companies be able to have lower turnover. Their businesses are growing faster. They're seeing more profitability. So just imagine, if you take a look at these charts, imagine if that was, even one of these numbers was impacting your business. And these are, again, not just one-offs, but these are things that we're seeing across all industries. So that's the use case. And then the last piece I wanted to add on this is that, I don't know what about your businesses, but as we talk to operators around the country, a lot of them have investors. And so investors really tend to like this model because it really provides a sound infrastructure. And so one of the things that we wanted to at least kind of visually show you is, Bob talked about, hey, how can we compete with the other folks like the Starbucks of the world, who are these huge companies? Well, that's what a PEO allows you to do. So how we have it structured is there's 3 levels of benefits: what's included, what's typically voluntary, or as you grow, your company can contribute. And the last part is where the company makes the contribution. So just to kind of show you some of the key things that what we do is we provide, again, these are just by partnering with us with Adaptive in one digital, you can now give to your employees the ability to have free financial coaching. Maybe they want to get their first condo, or like my son is 18, he's going off to college. I use them for some support around college planning. Early wage access. This is a big one with a lot of folks working paycheck to paycheck. If you're paying bi-weekly, your employees can get access to their money in between their pay cycles. You can have discounts on things like travel or movies or KinderCare. And then this is probably one of the most popular ones that we've seen, and this has been really taken off with folks in the cannabis space, is 98.6. And Bob alluded to this earlier. It's a telemedicine 24/7. So no matter where you are, whether you're in Jackson or some rural community in Mississippi, is that 24/7. You don't have to find a doctor locally, is that you can connect to one, and you can get a clinician who can actually write prescriptions. And then we give you a pharmacy card that the next day you can go to a CVS or Walgreens to get up to 75% discounts on generic drugs. So this has been really impactful, and it's, again, separate whether you decide to offer medical insurance or not. And then a couple of things just to touch on, things like mental health support is a big one, EAP plans, hearing benefits, and things of that nature. So all of these are things that come with the program. Then, we have your more standard things around dental and vision. Pet benefits has been a really big one with operators. These are all voluntary. And then the third level is, and this has been probably one of the biggest ones, is we know, oops, sorry about that. We know it's, my slide went off for a sec. Sorry, guys. We know that healthcare is a huge challenge, but we partner with United Healthcare, the largest provider in the country, and really to give you an extensive network to be able to provide choice to your employees, whether it's a rich plan to a high deductible plan, to really being able to provide some resources to your staff. And then the last one is, as Bob said, is for retirement. So if you want to offer that to your staff, that's really something that you don't have to do a match, but you could make it available to your staff to be able to, save, and then, have their own ability to, feel good putting money away for their future. So I'm going to share my screen just for a quick second. It popped off. Sorry about that. Okay. So the last thing I just wanted to wrap up with is, Tony, if you just want to talk a moment about, really obviously kind of where you fall in and what your role is, because one of the biggest things that we see is that when companies sign up for just standalone software, they have a good looking software, but then they need help and support. And that's where an HR business partner would come in. So if you want to take a moment to that'd be helpful.
Yeah, sure. So having your own dedicated team, here's kind of what it looks like. But having your dedicated HRBP is, where do I go? Who do I contact? Your dedicated team is one call away. And so if you don't ever know, just go to your HRBP, and we kind of help facilitate throughout the organization to get you the best answers for your question, for your situation that you have going on. So it just kind of helps with your not knowing where to go. And we're here to help, with a vast of questions that you have, from tax to payroll to benefits. It just kind of helps having that one dedicated team. So you're not having to make multiple phone calls, send multiple emails across the organization.
Terrific. Thank you. Obviously, like I said, we don't want our folks going to ChatGPT to figure these things out.
Correct.
So last thing is that, this is a new partnership, Henry, we're excited to be part of, and we're glad to be a member now of 3MA. So one of the things that we're doing to help provide more value for your membership is that, if any of you guys are interested in learning more about our program and do decide to partner with us, what we're doing by being a 3MA member is that we're taking 20% off the implementation fee and then 10% off the admin fees for the life of you doing business with us. So just our way of saying thank you and helping the 3MA ecosystem. So that's what we wanted to share with you. So, at this point, we just wanted to kind of wrap things up and really, we know it's not a standing room of thousands, but there's obviously a few of you folks here. We wanted to see if there were any questions that anybody had, we can answer.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can put them in the chat here, and I'll be sure to get them asked.
And if it was simply a mic drop moment, then we'll certainly be okay with that too. But we certainly wanted to keep it conversational. And Henry, we can get this over to you. So if you wanted to either post it or share it with any of the attendees.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was actually going to say, yeah, I've got a recording myself, and I was just going to remind everybody that if you missed the beginning or if you need to review it, we'll have a recording on our YouTube channel sometime tomorrow afternoon. And as well as if you guys can't think of your questions now or you need to reach back out to the team, I'll put their contact information or their website in the chat. And then you can also find Scott's direct contact on our affiliate page on our website. So. Well, if nobody has any questions, I want to thank the Adaptive HR team again. I really appreciate Scott and his team for being willing to do this webinar this afternoon. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a very informative and I think really valuable topic. This is super valuable information for businesses here in Mississippi that are trying to grow their cannabis business and meet the needs of high talent employees. So we really encourage you guys to take advantage of the discounts that Adaptive HR is providing to our members. And yeah, if you guys need to contact him, you can find all of his information on our website under the affiliate members page. But with that, I guess we will conclude the webinar this afternoon. I did want to just a brief reminder to the license holders and to our 3MA members that our State of the Industry survey is still open and up on our website. We're still accepting responses through the end of this month. This is really the best opportunity you have to provide actionable feedback to the organization so that we can better serve you guys, better meet the interests and the needs of the broader cannabis industry. It is also anonymous, so feel free to be as blunt and as real as you need to be. But that information is super invaluable to us as your representatives at the Capitol. So please take advantage of that. And Scott, Bob, Tony, sorry, I know I got your name wrong earlier. I apologize, Tony.
No worries. No worries.
I want to thank you guys again. And yeah, we'll conclude. I appreciate it.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks for your time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.